In my Myrtle Beach book, Banana Republic, I described Sally Howard as a well manicured political animal. She is also a very smart political animal, as you'll see in a portion of this interview we did with her in October 2018. You tell me that Michael Avenatti has been around.
Yes, he was here last night and created quite the buzz for over 200 Democrats that turned out paying $75 ticket to come have a delightful dinner at North Myrtle Beach and hear him speak. And he was truly what the Democrats enjoyed hearing, because he doesn't sugarcoat it, and he calls it what it is, and he takes Trump on for facts, and he's got an excellent record on what he has said. He tells the truth, and his predictions or what he has told that has happened turns out to be the fact.
And his client was in town back a few months ago, I believe.
I think in the spring, probably, or late winter, when her story first broke. She appeared at a strip club up toward North Myrtle Beach, and got coverage and all locally, and left the next day.
All right. Did you go?
No, I did not.
What kind of coverage did Avenatti get?
None.
None. That much. Okay. How would you characterize the local news media?
Well, I know they're shorthanded, but we have 3 network TV channels, TV stations here, and in the past have tried to be very fair in covering politics. And we have our daily paper, the Sun News, and we have a weekly that has various geographical sections of the county. And I was not on the planning committee, so I don't know what the outreach, but I do know press releases went out, and I'll own it. But no print or TV covered our event last night.
When I picked up the paper this morning, I assumed there was going to be a big color picture of Avenatti on the front page, addressing, and whatnot, and not a picture, not a word.
Well, this just goes to show you the term liberal media is a misnomer. I mean, that not in Horry County there is no liberal media.
What are the Democrats doing to get on the map these days in Horry County?
Well, it's pretty exciting. For the first time, due to these events like we've had, this was our 7th annual shore dinner, the fundraiser. And we've been able to build a little nest egg to be able to have, with some wonderful, generous donors and contributors, a party office, which is in Conway, and keep that open year-round. And now we are launching a media campaign with some TV ads, billboards, radio, and some print. So those all start this coming week, and there are already some billboards up. And we viewed a couple of the TV spots last night. They ran them for us, and they're very generic, a voting Democrat, and also, but they're very good. So I'm hoping those will motivate some Democratic voters.
You had the president and the gov in Conway a few weeks ago after the storm. Tell us about that.
Well, obviously I did not, at that time things were still very difficult even going to Conway.
Yeah.
And the president flew into North Carolina and helicoptered down to Conway. And he checked out, the flooding, and then was at the maybe the emergency control center. And of course local elected officials and the governor and all were there with him. And then he helicoptered back over to Myrtle Beach General Airport for Air Force One came in there then to pick him up and take him back to Washington.
Okay, so it was just a quick drop in. McMaster, Governor McMaster and President Trump have a kind of special relationship. Can you tell us about that?
Well, of course, what I know, not being on the inside of that, but there's so much that is public information and that you could just kind of connect the dots with. But Henry McMaster endorsed Trump. In fact, was the very first elected or statewide elected official to endorse Trump, and was, for him gung-ho from the start. So of course when he won, it was Henry's picking for whatever, and Henry, I think, had wanted to be governor for a mighty long time, and he did not want to go to Washington. So, general consensus locally, and you can call it folklore or whatever, is that that Henry asked Trump to take Nikki, therefore making a vacancy for him to move up from lieutenant governor to governor. And it's an obvious thing.
You want to talk about Luke Rankin a little bit?
Sure.
Okay, just tell us, what is your background with Luke Rankin?
Well, I sat in the room with Luke in 1992 when he filed to run for Senate. I was part of those that encouraged and got him to run for South Carolina Senate.
As a Democrat.
As a Democrat. This is correct. He filed, and he was a Democrat for a pretty good while. And he would run for re-election, and he always won. And Luke had bipartisan support. When he was a Democrat, there were Republicans that supported him. And just like happened with a number of other Democratic elected officials in Horry County, the Republican Party generally goes to them and puts the heat on them, saying, we want you to switch, or we're going to run somebody against you and blah, blah, take you out, whatever. So he finally bowed to the pressure. And I, to this day, of course, I probably think a little differently than some others. I feel like Luke could have probably continued to win as a Democrat, but the Republican Party is very, very strong here, and they are in lockstep to vote straight Republican ticket too, which they don't, split tickets like Democrats do.
So is Luke still on your Christmas card list?
Yes, Luke and I are still very friendly. We have each other's cell phone numbers, and I am quick to reach out to him if there's an issue in the Senate that I have an interest in, and he is quick to respond, and we're still very good friends. He has apologized and asked for forgiveness, and I have accepted, and I do love Luke and his family. Yes.
Okay. Well, a little bit of bipartisanship and
yes.
It helps in these troubled
He does
times.
a good job.
Okay.
He does such a good job that Nikki targeted him a couple of years ago, when she had her hit lists around the state of senators that she didn't think voted enough and listened to her. So he was on her hit list and had an opponent, and he prevailed.
For more on South Carolina politics, stay tuned to my YouTube channel and check my website, wilmore.com.